What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video it's my turn to flex a couple of my Shundos for the Open Master League with Machamp and Mamoswine in this triple buffed non-legendary team. Now I actually only have a handful of Pokemon already built for the Master League, and these three were the only three that got buffs this season, so I just decided to slap them all on the same team to see if they could compete in the Open Master League. Now I'm pretty sure that these are my first ever Open Master League battles, at least since the XL system was introduced however many years ago that was, and it kind of just highlights how inaccessible and how undesirable the Open Master League is for a mostly free-to-play player. Obviously you can be free-to-play but optimize everything in game so that you're always using your free raid passes, you get your 50 coins every day from gyms, and you're able to save up for the best raid boxes in the shop. And at this point, yeah, you probably could build a decent roster of level 50 legendaries if you are completely committed, but that is a very long grind that you absolutely will not be able to do in a single rotation of a raid boss. It's likely that it'll take you 3, 4 or 5 or even more times than that of the same raid boss coming back into rotation before you can finally get all the XL candies to build a single legendary Pokemon, and that can take several years depending on how frequently that raid boss comes back into rotation, so it's not a very desirable grind, and it's also completely out of your control when you can actually work towards getting those XL candies. Now of course there are plenty of non-legendary options that are viable, but it's certainly a lot more restrictive. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Are you a free-to-play player in Pokemon Go, and if so, why is it that you don't spend any money on the game? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, Machamp into Tapu Bulu, so one of the worst core breakers for the entire team. I'm forced to stay in, but with the Karate Chop energy generation, we're able to make it to the Stone Edge very fast. Stone Edge does big damage up against the Tapu Bulu. Honestly, I was thinking about running Iron Heads as a coverage charge move instead of Stone Edge, but we went for Stone Edge in the end as it is just a better move all around. We're now going to go for the Close Combat here, and Close Combat actually gets the KO there, but they come in with a second Fairy type, and honestly, like the first few sets I did, I swear I saw like at least 1, maybe 2, or even 3 Fairy types on every single team. It was ridiculous. But either way, the opponent goes for a Play Rough there. I don't know if they're not running Close Combat or if they just don't want to debuff their defense straight away. But either way, I'm going to fire off the Trail Blaze. And also, I wasn't intentionally running Trail Blaze. I wanted to run Swift, but I just kept on going between like Aerial Ace, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, and then eventually ended up with Trail Blaze as I ran out of TMs and figured it's still a buff move, I might as well just use that. And in some battles, it actually did work out for me, but it did mean that I was walled by a lot of flying types, which certainly isn't ideal. But either way, the opponent's going to come in with a Rhyperior. We're going straight for Close Combat, dealing huge damage up against the Rhyperior. They're committing to the farm down, but we actually get that farm down there, and we come out with a Stone Edge loaded, and that is going to be game over. Stone Edge grabs the final shield, and we can make it to an Avalanche here. An Avalanche from this range will certainly be enough to take out the Zacian, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle. You can see Machamp into Zacian. So once again, another Fairy in the lead, just going to stay in here. They are running Snarl, so of course, very little fast move pressure up against my Machamp. I'm going to go straight for a Stone Edge here. I'll then go for 1 extra Karate Chop, and then try and swap a charge move onto my Ursaluna. But unfortunately, it backfires as the opponent holds onto the energy, then fires off the Close Combat, and then they swap into a Waterfall Primarina. So again, another double Fairy team already. Doesn't really make too much sense here, but I guess Dragons are fairly strong in the Master League, so I suppose double Fairy is kind of good. But either way, we are going to come in with the Machamp here, just because of course the Waterfalls will hit for super effective up against my Mamoswine. Gonna shield up the Hydro Cannon there, and I will be able to go for a Stone Edge. I will overfarm just a little bit here, throwing on good timing. Stone Edge will be coming through, does big damage, and the opponent is going to throw their charge move. So at this point, I'm just going to let the Machamp go down. It doesn't quite take us out there. We're going to come in with the Mamoswine, get the Mudslap farm down. They come back in with the Zacian, and they're going to bank a ton of energy and then swap into Togekiss. So triple Fairy. What on earth is this team? Machamp had no play whatsoever. We go for the Avalanche there. Obviously, in this matchup, Powder Snow would be way better than Mudslap, but I fire off another Avalanche, and the opponent actually just fully sacrifices the Togekiss, and I think that's a huge mistake. They might be at back-to-back charge moves here, but it doesn't matter because that Mudslap lands whilst their defense is debuffed, and I've put them into range where Karate Chop will come in, take out the Zacian, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to up on there. Into next game, we see Machamp into Necrozma. So awful lead matchup for me. Gonna say swap into my Mamoswine and another fairy type in Primarina. Now Primarina, honestly pretty easy to build as it did have a recent community day. Unfortunately, I completely forgot about that community day. So I have like almost no XL candies for this thing. I also don't have one with Hydro Cannon either, which is not ideal. Very poor on my part. I guess I will wait for December for it to come back around. But either way, gonna come in with Machamp. I'm just gonna fully sacrifice it here as I realize it has no play up against that Necrozma, but they do make it to a second charge move. And this one I'm thinking, I can't really afford to tank the waterfall damage on my Ursaluna, so we're going to fire off a close combat. Hopefully they do just let it go down, and they do. We come in with the Ursaluna, which does have a great matchup up against Necrozma. Of course, Moongeist Beam is going to be double resisted here, so the opponent will go for the Dark Pulse, but they've got another fairy type in the back, and unfortunately we are completely walled. We go for Trailblaze there. Trailblaze does very little damage, so I might as well just concede the match there. And unfortunately there was nothing we could do in that battle, but into the next battle we're going to see Rhyperior in the lead. By the way, GG's to that opponent there, and they swap into a Kyogre, and this is actually not really that bad just because we can deal neutral damage in the situation, and we've got two Pokemon that are very weak to Kyogre in the back, so definitely just going to stay in, at least at this point, grab the shield, and then swap into my Mamoswine. I'm hoping we can go for a full Mudslap farm down here. The opponent goes for an Origin Pulse there, which means we will definitely get that farm down. The waterfall damage does get us pretty low there, but we do tank enough of it, and we can just go straight for Avalanche here. Avalanche is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, but they over-farm there. I think we win CMP in this matchup anyways, but Avalanche number 2 gets the KO, and again another fairy in the back in Togekiss. At this point we do have a shield advantage, so whilst we are walled in the charge moves, we should still be able to take this game here. I'm going to fire off the Trailblaze. Of course, Trailblaze will then buff my tackle damage, and honestly these tackles are chunking at this point, so definitely going to shield, respect the damage here. The opponent goes for the Aura Sphere, going for that kill shot, and now at this part I'm going to go for a very disrespectful BM, go for the high horsepower, double resisted, but I don't care. High horsepower, when it connects, gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to up over there into the next battle. You can see Machamp into Zacian. So again, another fairy in the lead. We're going to stay in once again as they are running Snarl. Oh no, never mind. They're running Quick Attack as the fast move this time around. So, I mean, only marginally more fast move pressure there. Unfortunately, Stone Edge doesn't do as much damage up against Zacian compared to the Tapu Bulu. And again, my attempt to catch a play rough does not work as the opponent holds onto the energy. They can now just fire off back-to-back close combats. I'm just going to fully sacrifice my Ursaluna here. And we are going to come back in with the Mamoswine as they come in with another fairy. Like, how do these teams even make sense? Like, what on earth is going on right now? Either way, we go for Avalanche, dealing big damage in this matchup. I'm then going to swap, and this time I am able to catch the charge move as the opponent goes for close combat. The opponent going to fire off another close combat. Honestly, they probably could have just gone for a full Geomancy farm down, but now we can come in with the Mamoswine, get the Mudslap farm down here. But they've got a Yveltal in the back, and again, another matchup where unfortunately Mudslap going to be double resisted. It just doesn't really help me out here, and I will say, like, Mamoswine with Mudslap definitely felt like a hindrance rather than a help there. Mudslap, of course, very good up against the Steel-type Pokemon, but it was just mostly fairies and then flying type Pokemon that I was seeing, and sometimes both of those in the form of Togekiss. But either way, into next battle, you can see Yveltal in the lead up against our Machamp. So this is a matchup where having the Stone Edge coverage is going to be very nice here. I'm going to shield the first move as they go for Oblivion Ring, and then they swap into Lugia. So we're still going to go for Stone Edge anyways. And again, another matchup where I could just come in with my Mamoswine and then just go for an Avalanche, and with the Powder Snow damage, that should get the KO. But unfortunately, with Mudslap being double resisted, this Avalanche will not get the KO, so I'm going to shield this. Aeroblast will do a ton of damage in this matchup, so we shield it, we play it safe. We are now down 2 shields, but we can get a very nice Mudslap farm down. They come back in with the Yveltal here, and we're going straight for the Avalanche. Avalanche is going to be caught onto an Avalanche. Honestly, I didn't even see that switch. Like, I've watched it back. I did not see them swap out at all. I don't know how that happened, but either way, we go for high horsepower there. We're now going to swap into Ursaluna, of course. All shields are down. We can't afford to just let them farm me down here. Now, unless they're running Focus Blast, we should be able to live an Oblivion Wing pretty comfortably, although that will put us into farm down range, potentially here. But either way, going to fire off the charge move, boosting up our attack. The opponent is not going to be able to farm us down, actually, so they have to fire off the charge move here. I don't really know how much they've overfarmed, so we come in with our Machamp, going to fire off the close combat here, and literally got zero clue how much energy they've got here. So I'm just going to randomly swap, and I'm able to catch the charge move there. I don't know if they threw straight away or if they overfarmed or whatever. It works out in my favor, though, as as we do make the catch, and now we can fire off the close combat. Close combat gets the KO up against Yveltal, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to up over there into next battle. You can see Machamp into Kyogre. So once again, definitely where we want to see it. And again, the opponent's going to swap into a fairy, this time in the form of Xerneas. So I'm going to no-shield the first move here. It's quite unlikely that they go straight for a close combat. They go for the Moonblast there. They don't drop my attack, which is very nice. I'm actually not certain that a high horsepower would quite get the KO, so I might as well go for Trailblaze here. And Trailblaze does go unshielded, but they overfarm here, so I can make it to another Trailblaze. Trailblaze is going to grab the shield this time around. At this point, they are back-to-back charge moves, but I kind of need Switch Advantage, so I am going to double shield. And if they come back in with Kyogre, that's actually okay because I will be double boosted and I will be able to throw a Trailblaze anyways. And they come back in with the Kyogre, but they make a very nice catch there, catching the Trailblaze onto a Togekiss. So really nice play there. We can come in with our Mamoswine, and once again, just completely hindered by the fact that we're running Mud Slap here. We can now fire off the Avalanche, and of course, Avalanche will grab a shield here, or it would have got the KO. So the opponent's going to fire for charge move here, and honestly, with the Trailblaze damage and a few Mud Slaps, we've put them into range where a Stone Edge will probably get the KO here. But we come in with Machamp, we need to overfarm in this matchup. They swap back into Kyogre. I'm able to swap, catch the Surf onto my Ursaluna with 1 HP and a Dream. Surf gets the KO there. I can now overfarm, but I kind of need this close combat to get the KO here. Close combat doesn't actually take them out there, and I have to throw the charge move here. We do throw, and I think we got damage registration error there. Close combat gets the KO, but I still can't make it to a Stone Edge, and again getting damage registration error, but it doesn't really help me as close combat is double resisted. It does not get the KO up against Togekiss, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to up over there into next battle. You can see Necrozma in the lead, so this is okay. We are at least dealing neutral damage here. And honestly, I don't know how much energy a Stun Steel Strike is, but I'm going to no-shield anyways. It's just a Dark Pulse there, so it works out. We're going to fire off back-to-back close combats here. First one is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. The second one will deal huge damage here. And then I might just swap into my Mamoswine. Nope, no, never mind. The opponent is going to let the Necrozma go down. We swap into Ursaluna, and they come in with a Kyogre. So obviously difficult matchup for us, but this is where Trailblaze is actually very helpful. He doesn't do that much damage there, but with the boosted attack with our tackles now, I can actually shield this and then flip this matchup, going for a full tackle farm down. Unfortunately, I will put myself into range where Mewtwo can probably Psycho Cut farm me down, so I'm going to fire off the Trailblaze and then look to swap out of this matchup, and we do swap into our Mamoswine. Unless they go for Focus Blast or maybe like Flamethrower, we should be able to live a Side Strike fairly well here, and we do live that, but the opponent will make it to another charge move. So of course, I'm going to shield up my Mamoswine. I'm going to overfarm just a tiny bit there, go for the Avalanche. Avalanche will be grabbing the shield from the Mewtwo, and then at this point I think I've put them into range where a close combat will get the KO. It just depends if we can actually outpace the Mewtwo. Now I think they overfarmed by 1 Psycho Cut there, so we're able to make it in just 3 Karate Chops. We outpace the Mewtwo, and a close combat, despite being resisted, gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up in there into the next battle. We can see Machamp into a Tapu Bulu once again. So once again, definitely not ideal for us to see this here, but we are going to shield, and again, they do throw straight away, but they throw it on poor timing, giving me a full Karate Chop in for free, which will again allow me to make it to a Stone Edge and a close combat. Stone Edge goes unshielded, and we make it to the close combat here just before they make it to the next charge move. And then I'm once again going to try and swap and catch a Nature's Madness onto my Ursaluna, and once again it backfires. I should have that just because I've seen a few people, I think like Homesize Henry and Yonkers, showcase Solar Beam Tapu Bulu, so I didn't want to get fully nuked there. But either way, we bait out another fairy type Pokemon and another huge core breaker for the entire team in the form of Waterfall Primarina. We are not having much luck so far, but we're going to come in with the Machamp. I'm hoping to get a Karate Chop farm down. I realise I'm not getting it, so I try to snipe with the Mamoswine, and I just swapped too late there, so they make it to the Hydro Cannon. That does big damage. They come back in with the Tapu Bulu. They're actually going to fire off a charge move, which is okay for me. But either way, this game is basically over there. There's not a lot Machamp can be in the end game. Down a shield, and whilst yes, we've got the Stone Edge coverage, Stone Edge doesn't do enough damage there, and they can just fire off a charge move. There's no point me throwing anything here, as I'm not making it to back-to-back moves. The opponent goes for an Oblivion Ring, and eventually it takes out the Machamp, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But honestly, if we did swap into a Mamoswine just like 1 Karate Chop sooner, I could have possibly won that game. But anyways, into the next battle, we're just going to say swap into a Shadow Dragonite. I'm going to say this once again, Mudslap is just completely useless on my Mamoswine here. I did see that Home/Henry showcase Mamoswine, and it worked out to be a pretty good core breaker for him, but unfortunately for me, like, against the teams I'm seeing so many flying type Pokemon where Mamoswine having Mudslap just completely ruins its matchup there. Of course, Avalanche still going to absolutely one-shot a Dragonite, but unfortunately, like, they could probably just Dragon Breath fire me down in that situation, so I actually came in with the Ursaluna, grabbed the shield with the Trailblaze, which is best case scenario. They do still make it to another charge move. I'm hoping that I can make it to a close combat before they make it to yet another Dragon Claw, and we do just barely get there in time. So close combat will be enough damage despite being resisted once again to get the KO there. We swap into our Mamoswine, and this time it's a Charm Primarina. So of course, Charms are still chunking in this matchup, but we can tank them a little bit more comfortably than the Waterfalls. We get the Mudslap farm down there. They come back in with the Rhyperior, and we're able to make it to the Avalanche just in time. And of course, Avalanche super effective damage will easily take out Rhyperior, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up over there. Into the next battle, we're going to see Machamp into Palkia. So this is a neutral matchup for us. Unfortunately, one that Machamp will definitely not win, but I'm going to just no-shield this as I can live an Aqua Tail on my Machamp. It's going to do a lot more damage up against my Ursaluna or my Mamoswine in the back, so we fire off the close combat. I was trying to farm to back there, but I realized I was never getting there as the Dragon Breath would just take me out. But we fire off the close combat, we swap into our Mamoswine, gonna shield up the Aqua Tail here, and the opponent lets the Palkia go down, so hopefully Mamoswine is core breaking their backline here. But let's find out. The opponent comes in with their Rhyperior, so once again, gonna fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche should be grabbing a shield from the opponent. It does grab that first shield from the opponent, and they make it to a breaking swipe, but I'm just gonna no-shield this. I should still live this and make it to another Avalanche, and we do exactly that, although I think they debuff my attack, so Avalanche doesn't get the KO there. They do get the Mudslap farm down. I possibly could come in with my Machamp. I thought I could go for a tackle farm down there, but actually no, the opponent makes it to a breaking swipe. Breaking swipe is going to drop my attack once again, which is unfortunate, but they come in with a Necrozma, and the opponent is just going to concede the match. Honestly, I feel like that might be a slight mistake there, just because I was debuffed, and those tackles were resisted, so I don't think high horsepower when I'm debuffed would have got the KO. Into the next battle though, what on earth is going on here? We were getting like no fast moves in, and then suddenly it all caught up, and honestly, it just completely threw me off here. I don't have a clue how much energy they've got, to be honest. I don't know if they were also lagging on their end, or if, like, that was just normal for them, but either way, we're going to fire off another close combat here. They will just be shielding this most likely, so I'm going to swap into my Mamoswine as we do take neutral damage from the ice typing. As we are, of course, part ice here. They go for Glaciate, and they drop my attack, but then they swap into Nihilego here. And of course, this is an amazing matchup for a ground-type Pokemon. So, looking to just fully sacrifice the Nihilego, and then they come in with a Shadow Rhyperior, and it works out perfectly for the opponent there. As I threw my high horsepower straight away, that means the opponent gets a full Mudslap farm down. We can now come in with the Ursaluna, and of course, I've got Trailblaze. I don't expect them to run Superpower, so I'm going to no-shield. They go for Breaking Swipe, and they're going to try and swap and make a catch there, but unfortunately, we swap at the exact same time. They get the full Dragon Breath farm down. At this point, I need to shield this, and then go for either a full Tackle farm down, or make it to back-to-back Trailblazes, as I do believe Rhyperior has a charge move already loaded, and unfortunately, we're outpaced to the charge move. But it's just a Dragon Claw, and honestly, I got to back-to-back Trailblazers, and I just forgot to throw a charge move. What was I doing there? I was like suddenly thinking, okay, I need to get the Tackle farm down. I completely forgot that I was 100 energy. Could have just fired off the Trailblaze, and Ursaluna just marginally wins CMP up against Rhyperior. So big mistake on my end. Don't know what I was thinking there. I think I was just flustered by that start there, like not dealing any fast move damage at all, and then just suddenly catching up. But anyways, into next battle, and unfortunately this is not looking very good for us. Of course, Mamoswine could potentially run Stone Edge as well. That might be viable actually with Mudslap as the fast move. You might not need high horsepower in certain situations, but the opponent no shields. It doesn't do that much damage with the Avalanche anyways. We can come back in with our Machamp. I'm just going to no shield this, hope that Ursaluna can somehow win this with the two shields here up against a fairly low HP Palkia. We're going to shield this, and of course Trailblaze is double resisted, but I'm hoping that once we boost our attack here, I will be able to go for a full Tackle farm down. So going to fire off the Trailblaze, double resisted, non-stab, does hardly any damage. But no, the opponent gets damage registration error. They make it to a charge move. Brave Bird does huge damage there. Actually doesn't KO, but they can just come in with the Palkia, get the Dragon Breath farm down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, into next battle, an actual good lead for Machamp. What the heck is going on there? And they swap into Giratina, so we can completely hardwall them. And honestly, I'm going to make a slight mistake here. Like, Giratina is very bulky. I might as well just go for Trailblaze here, as it's going to take 2 high horsepowers to get the KO. So I might as well go for Trailblaze first, and that way I'm going to boost up my attack, and it should mean that the next high horsepower would get the KO. I'd save a little bit of energy, but I'd also be, well, boosted in my attack there, so when I come out of this matchup, we'd actually be in a pretty good situation. But either way, gonna no-shield once again, and these Shadow Balls, they're double resisted, but they do get me fairly low there. They swap back into Dialga. We're gonna fire off the high horsepower. I think they're trying to bait out my Machamp, but I'm gonna come in with my Mamoswine instead, get the Mudslap farm down, but they've actually got Kyogre in the back, so honestly, things are suddenly looking a lot worse for us. We're going to fire off the high horsepower. High horsepower grabs a shield from the Kyogre, but they do get the Waterfall farm down. Now, the plus side is that with Mudslap instead of Powder Snow, we do at least deal a lot of fast move pressure up against that Kyogre, and hopefully we put them into range where eventually when we get to close combats, I will be able to take them out with just one charge move. We're going to swap back into Ursaluna, the opponent going to fire for charge move, and Shadow Ball actually takes out the Ursaluna there. Unfortunately, not quite able to make it to a high horsepower, but either way, going to overfarm just slightly with the Machamp. We still got a lot of HP remaining, so as long as a close combat gets the KO, we should be absolutely fine here. Of course, Kyogre going to take slightly longer to make it to those surfs, so their play is probably just to go for a full waterfall farm down. We go for the first charge move. I overfarm as much as possible before firing off another close combat, and close combat does get the KO this time up against the Kyogre, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next battle. You can see Goldengo in the lead. Unfortunately, another pretty decent core breaker for our team here, but we're going to come in with the Kyogre. Going to go for a Trailblaze here, and Trailblaze is going to do some nice damage up against the Kyogre, but this one, it looks like they are sorry, not best buddy boosted, but they're at least level 50. I think the previous one was just slightly under leveled there, and I just wasn't certain if the tackles would add up enough to get the farm down there. So instead, I actually let the Ursaluna go down. Gonna come back in with the Machamp, going to overfarm throw just before they make it to a surf, and of course close combat is going to get the KO here. They come back in with the Goldengo, and they've got Yveltal in the back. So once again, unfortunately, not running Powder Snow, we're not gonna be able to flip this matchup here. We can go for an Avalanche. Avalanche will not get the KO, and it won't even put them into farm down range either, so definitely not ideal for us. Also slightly slower in energy generation, so I'm actually not even going to make it to 3 Avalanches in this matchup before they go for a full Sucker Punch farm down, which is very unfortunate for us. This game is absolutely over, so gonna no-shield my Machamp. No point in shielding here. The opponent gonna go for the Oblivion Wing, taking out the Machamp, and unfortunately we do lose that game. Also, Oblivion Wing kind of looks like a dark type move when it's used there, even though of course it is a flying type move, so a bit confusing there. But either way, gonna see Kyogre in the lead once again, and GG's to that opponent, by the way, if I didn't mention it. I can't remember. I know I say GG's a lot when I win, and sometimes I forget when I lose, which is not very nice of me. So GG's to that trainer there. Into next battle, we are going to see the Kyogre there. We swap into Mamoswine, and this time it does work having Mudslap as the opponent swaps into their Shadow Metagross, probably thinking we're on Powder Snow there, but the Mudslap's absolutely chunking, and the high horsepower gets the KO. They can come back in with the Kyogre, get the Waterfall farm down, but at this point we've already got a bit of energy on the Machamp. I'm just going to come in and hopefully get a full Karate Chop farm down here. So we're going to commit to the farm down. I didn't really want to use a close combat at that range. Can we get the farm down? Yes, we are able to do so, and they've got Necrozma in the back in the Dusk main form, which means close combat is going to hit for neutral damage, so hopefully we can grab both shields here, and if we're able to do so, I think Ursaluna should be fine in this matchup now. Of course, all shields are down. A Sunsteel Strike is going to do huge damage in this matchup, but Ursaluna is pretty bulky, so Sunsteel Strike does not get the KO. Of course, we are double resisting the Shadow Claw damage, they're resisting the tackle damage, but high horsepower gets the KO up against the Necrozma, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next battle. You can see Machamp into Metagross, so a fairly neutral matchup here. Unfortunately, Karate Chops, they just don't do that much damage, so previously, like in the Master League Premier Cup, for example, with the counters, a close combat would put them into counter farm down range, but unfortunately, Karate Chop not doing that much damage, so I will have to throw another charge move. So instead, gonna farm up to another close combat swap into my Mamoswine, trying to get the snipe, and once again, I fall just short of getting that full farm down before they make it to a charge move. So I'm forced to double shield straight away, which is definitely not ideal, but it looks like they are core broken by my Mamoswine as they come in with the Rhyperior. So gonna fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche grabs the shield. They're now gonna swap into a Charm Primarina. So gonna fire off the high horsepower here. High horsepower Power grabs the final shield from the opponent, but unfortunately we are absolutely screwed right now. They can either go for a Moonblast up against, oh sorry, not a Moonblast, most likely running Disarming Voice up against my Machamp, or go for the Hydro Cannon up against my Ursaluna. So either way, not looking good. I tried to get the KO with the Stone Edge, but it doesn't do enough damage there. We swap into Ursaluna, they make it to the Hydro Cannon, and they do have a Charge Move on their Rhyperior already. So I should be able to live a Rock Wrecker, but I'm not going to make it to the Trailblaze. They get the full Mud Slap farm down, and they do make it to another Charge Move up against my Machamp. And at 1 HP, I'm definitely not living a Breaking Swipe, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, into next battle, you can see a Shadow Mewtwo in the lead, so definitely not ideal. I'm going to save swap into my Ursaluna, and honestly, my save swap was kind of just random, like, it didn't really, there wasn't any thought into it. Sometimes it was Mamoswine, sometimes it was Ursaluna, but either way, we go for the Trailblaze there, dealing big damage up against the Rhyperior. Again, I don't expect this to be a superpower, so going to no shield, they go for Breaking Swipe, they don't debuff my attack, and they're actually going to overfarm here, so I'm just going to fire off another Trailblaze here. Trailblaze is going to be no shielded by the Rhyperior, and they come in with a Charm Primarina. So this time, at least with all shields up there, it's not the worst case scenario. I can fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze is going to be shielded by the Primarina, and then we actually swap into our Machamp here, and this seems like a strange play, but I realized that my win condition is probably just 2 shields and my Mamoswine and going for a full Mud Slap farm down up against the rest of the team. So we are going to come in with the Mamoswine, they're going to swap back into Shadow Mewtwo. And Shadow Mewtwo, it might be a legendary Pokemon, but it's still fairly glassy here, so gonna shield up the Side Strike. I'm probably gonna need to catch a Side Strike at some point because I can't quite go for a full Mud Slap farm down at this point before they make it to back-to-back Side Strikes. So gonna shield the next one, and I'm assuming they're throwing straight away. So I will farm to 3 Mud Slaps here and swap just as they're making it to the charge. Once again, catching onto my Ursaluna. Side Strike gets the KO. We get the Mud Slap farm down. We come out with a high horsepower loaded, and of course, high horsepower will be enough damage to take out the Primarina, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into the next battle, you can see Machamp into a Palkia. So once again, just going to stay in this matchup, let them throw an Octel pretty much straight away because most of them do that. We're now going to no-shield this, and then I'll just fire off a close combat immediately, and then swap into my Mamoswine. And by the way, it took me like 4 sets to realize that actually you've got best buddies on both my Machamp and my Mamoswine. So I figured, you know what, might as well best buddy boost one of them. I think I buddy boosted my Machamp there, but either way, we're going to come in with the Ursaluna, fire off the high horsepower here. High horsepower is going to be no shielded by the opponent, and they come in with a Rhyperior, so the opponent will outpace me to the charge move, but I should definitely live a Breaking Swipe from this range. So gonna no shield that, fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze gonna hit for double super effective damage, probably gonna grab a shield. It does grab the shield, and now I'm swapping into my Mamoswine, and the opponent is going to farm up to a potential Rock Wrecker, so I'm definitely gonna shield, respect the damage here, and then I'm not gonna throw straight away. I'm gonna wait for a potential catch, and the opponent swaps into Necrozma, so I'm glad I held on to the energy. Gonna fire off the high horsepower, and with the Mud Slap damage, high horsepower gets the KO, and I can still make it to the Avalanche, winning CMP up against the Rhyperior, and Avalanche will be enough to take out Rhyperior, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into the next battle. You can see Machamp up against Kyogre once again. So once again, where we want to see it, still not ideal for us, but hopefully if they do let the close combat go through, then I should be in a fine position. But the opponent's going to swap into Flourishes, so this could once again be another double fairy backline. We're not seeing too many fairies in the later battles, but certainly in the first few sets that I did, it was just getting out of hand there. But either way, get a no shield once again. The opponent goes for Disarming Voice this time around. I'm going to go for a high horsepower here. So Trailblaze definitely not going to get the KO. High horsepower does connect. It actually doesn't quite take them out either, but we do get the tackle farm down. Now the opponent's going to come back in with their Kyogre, so I'm going to let them take me out here. We've got basically 100 energy now, so unfortunately it's not really optimal for me to go for a Karate Chop and then throw, but they're going to come in with a Togekiss, so I'm going to fire off the charge move here. Stone Edge is going to be shielded by the opponent. We can now come in with our Mamoswine, and again, not a great situation to be running Mud Slap, but we can go for an Avalanche here, and Avalanche will probably put them into range where we can actually take them out here with the Mud Slap damage, so I'm definitely going to shield this and then go for a full Mud Slap farm down. Ancient Power grabs my final shield, and we do get that Mud Slap farm down, and we are just barely able to make it to a high horsepower. High horsepower will be coming through, and it does go unshielded by the opponent. Can we Karate Chop, farm them down in time? No, we're barely not able to do so. One more fast move, we could have taken them out, but unfortunately Surf takes out my Machamp there, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to up over there into the final battle of this video. And by the way, if you're wondering how well this team actually did, I think I won like one more game than I lost. So I think I had 13 wins, 12 losses. So pretty average here. Not an optimal team for climbing whatsoever. Definitely, if you do have like non-legendary Pokemon, this isn't probably the best team to build for the Master League. It's just what I had, and 3 Pokemon that were buffed this season. I personally still think that Powder Snow Mamoswine is better than Mudslap, just for the meta that I was seeing. I know that in Homesize Henry's video, he was core breaking teams with his Mamoswine with Mudslap. But yeah, unfortunately for me, seeing a lot of flying type Pokemon, it just didn't really work out for me. But either way, they come in with a Shadow Rhyperior. We are going to come in with my Ursaluna here, and I will be able to tank 1 charge move from the opponent. We're actually going to swap here, trying to make a catch. We still force the opponent to throw their energy anyways, so they go for the breaking swipe, and that's okay. Going to come back in with the Ursaluna. Again, I don't expect this to be a superpower, so going to no shield. They go for breaking swipe. Breaking swipe does actually debuff my attack, but they come in with Annihilego here, and we're going straight for high horsepower. High horsepower going to hit for double super effective damage. It actually doesn't get the KO though, because they debuff my attack, but that's still fine. We can shield up the Sludge Bomb there. Sludge Bomb wouldn't get the KO, but it probably puts me into Mudslap farm down range, but it doesn't really matter. Trailblaze, double super effective, gets the KO up against Rhyperior, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.